Imagine stepping out into your own backyard and finding edible greens, fruits and herbs growing all around you. Not just in rows, but in layers, like a real-life edible forest. That is what a food forest is. A garden that's abundant, beautiful and most of all, low maintenance. You don't need to be out there every weekend and you don't need a degree in permaculture. What you do need are the right plants. In today's video, I'm going to walk you through my top 6 plants for a low maintenance food forest, ones that I rely on year after year in my own garden. So what makes a plant low maintenance? Well, ideally it's one that comes back year after year without you having to do anything. This includes things like self-seeders as well as perennials. So self-seeders will drop their seeds and those seeds will just naturally germinate by themselves on the ground without you having to collect them, store them, sow them, prick them out. And also it's about choosing plants that are suited to your conditions. So a plant that might be low maintenance in one garden might be high maintenance in another garden if it's not got the right climate and if it's not got the right soil conditions. So a plant that might thrive in a garden with nice moist soil might struggle in a garden with really dry soil and need constant watering all the time to keep it alive. If you grow a plant that's not really suited to your garden and it's always kind of struggling a little bit with the conditions that you've given it, it's much more likely to be susceptible to pest and disease attacks. So then once again, that's another thing that you've got to try and help manage for the plant. Creating a whole low maintenance system as well is all about choosing plants which kind of perform functions within the ecosystem. So whether that's attracting in beneficial insects to manage pests or whether it's something that fixes nitrogen in the soil to help you manage fertility. By choosing the right plants, you can really help to create a really thriving ecosystem that's really low maintenance for you to look after. So now I'm going to share my top 6 plants for a small scale food forest, saving my favourite till last. My favourite ground cover plant is this one here called Ajuga reptans, or its common name is often called Bugle. And you can see how brilliantly it forms a mat underneath this Welsh onion, just not allowing any other plants to sneak in. And I love the contrast of other green plants against the coppery leaves. You can get some really beautiful cultivars of this with really dark leaves. And you can eat it, it has got edible leaves, but actually I grow it mainly just as a really effective ground cover because it cuts down so much on weeding. And also the flowers are purple and the bees absolutely love them, so they're always buzzing with insects. And it looks absolutely beautiful, and this will grow in the sun, it'll grow in the shade, so it's just a really versatile plant. Another of my favourites and quite a large perennial in the garden is this Jerusalem artichoke. They just grow without much effort from me whatsoever. I just dig some up in the autumn to harvest the tubers to cook, and then I plant a few back in the same space, and then they come up again and bulk up, and then I've got some more tubers to use this winter. And yeah, sometimes they will flower, depends on the variety and whether we have a long summer, but they're just so great. I don't have to stake them, I don't have to support them, really low fuss, but they produce a crop which can be used as quite a staple in the kitchen, you know, not just a few green leaves or a few dainty edible flowers, but something that's actually really filling and can contribute to your diet. This mallow here acts really as a self-seeding annual. So I did sow it the first year, but then since then it just self-seeds itself around and pops up all over the place. And sometimes I do weed it out, but then I get to eat the bits that I'm weeding out of the ground as well. It's got edible leaves which I put in salads. I really like the flavour, and even though there can be kind of a bit of a mucilaginous texture to the leaves, when you mix that in to a salad with other leaves, you don't really notice that at all. And it's such an easy plant to grow because, as I say, once you've had it 1 year and you've let it go to seed, it just sort of pops up all over the garden wherever it's happiest. It has really tiny, insignificant little flowers, but it's the leaves that I grow it for, really. And I think we really underestimate self-seeders in terms of quite how much food we can get from them when we just leave them to do their own thing, because they've already chosen just the right spot to start growing. And so I do sometimes move some around, but quite often I will just leave them where they are because they already know where they're going to grow best. I have this Sichuan pepper here growing. It's still a very young tree. I've grown it before in quite a few gardens, and you can see these quite spectacular thorns that it has on it. So not one to try and prune without some gloves on. You can eat the leaves. This one's a Xanthoxylum simulans. You can eat the leaves and they produce tiny pink peppercorns. So if you've used pink peppercorns before in your cooking, this is the plant they come from. Some of them are self-fertile like this one, some of them need a pollination partner, so just check if you decide to put one in your own garden. But I just love the smell of the leaves. It's kind of really peppery. It's a really unusual flavour, and this tree will eventually get much taller than I am. It'll grow into kind of a small tree but several metres high. So as you can imagine, it'll change the area around it. At the moment I can grow sun-loving things underneath it, but I'm really looking forward to harvesting my own pink peppercorns from this. This mountain spinach, or some people call it tree spinach because it's just so big. It almost feels like it's going to get as big as a tree. This one also self-seeds around the garden, and it just has the most amazing bright, almost neon purple leaves, and it's actually a kind of powdery coating on the leaves. But I use this in salads nearly every day at the moment, and also you can pick the larger leaves and use them and cook them down like you would something like a spinach. So it's a really versatile plant, and as I say, it just self-seeds everywhere, so it's very easy to grow once you've grown it once. And as I say, just as with the mallow, even when it's growing where you don't want it, when you're pulling it out, in a way you can just use those bits you're weeding out in your salads straight away. Anyone who's watched videos before by me or come to a talk that I've done will know that Taunton Deane kale is one of my all-time favourites. It's so easy to grow, and you get these huge leaves without any effort whatsoever. It's a perennial kale, so it comes back every year. It has these beautiful purple midribs, and actually in this garden I have based my colour scheme for my garden around this Taunton Deane kale because I just love the purple on it so much. And it's also, it looks like a really kind of tough leaf, but as soon as you steam it or you cook it, it just becomes a really, really tender vegetable. So I use it in cooking all the time. Just most of the time I just simply steam it, and it's just delicious. So it's definitely, if I just had to choose my one favourite plant that I had to grow in any garden, this would be it because it's just prolific. I do have some annual kales that I grow as well because we eat so much kale in our house, but honestly for most families just one plant would be enough to keep you going for a whole year, and it's evergreen as well. It grows right through the winter. So now that I've shared my favourite plants, you might be wondering if these plants are suitable for your garden. I've made a video all about helping you to choose the right plants for your garden, and I'll leave a link in the description below. So I would encourage you to go away and find out if these plants are suitable for your garden before you go out and buy them. And if they're not, you might be able to find other plants that perform a similar function, such as a slightly different edible green leaf or a slightly different nitrogen fixing plant, and you should be able to find one that's suited to your conditions. And finally, a quick tip when you're putting together your planting list is to try and group things into different categories. So whether it's plants for different layers or plants for different functions, and that way you can make sure that you've got a nice spread of plants to cover all the different functions and to fit into as many of the different layers as you can. You don't have to include all of them, but as many as you can. So comment below if you grow any of these plants in your own garden. I'd love to hear how they do for you, or let me know what your favourite plants are for your own food forest. And if you're really interested in learning more about choosing the right plants for your garden, then check out this video here.